Beloved, September 20th, 2019, the Lord told me at about 5:30 in the afternoon, open the Ellen G. White Electronic Library. Look for the daily devotionals. Do not look. Give it to one and read what I will show you there. So I did. I looked for the electronic library, and when I was in the daily devotionals, I realized that they were all there. I closed my eyes, I touched one of them, and when I began to read, there was the story of Ezra. That day was September 10th, and I started reading. How wonderful was that of the daily devotional Conflict and Courage, which after reading it was that I realized when I turned back in which daily devotional I was, and at that moment I listened to the words of the Lord who told me, there is the true key to transformation. The understood will understand. I leave this with you, brothers. It is wonderful when we are approaching the sacred hours of the Lord, because we see that although throughout the whole week the Lord and heaven, all of them are very active in favor of the salvation of the human being, the sacred hours approaching, and in the sacred hours we see the great blessing of the Lord for each one of us. And as the Lord said, He is educating a people. He is educating an offspring. And each of us should learn on this sacred day the words faithful and true of the Lord. I hope this is a blessing for you, as it has been for all of us. May the Lord bless you all. Ezra, student and teacher, September 10th. Ezra had prepared his heart to inquire about Jehovah's law and to fulfill it. Ezra chapter 7 verse 10. Born among the descendants of Aaron, Ezra received priestly training. He also became acquainted also with the writings of the magicians, astrologers, and sages of the Medo-Persian kingdom. But he was not satisfied with his spiritual condition. He longed to be in complete harmony with God. He wished he had wisdom to fulfill the divine will. This led him to diligently study the history of God's people as recorded in the writings of the prophets and kings. He searched the historical and poetic books of the Bible to learn why the Lord had allowed Jerusalem to be destroyed and his people taken captive to pagan land. He studied the instructions given on Mount Sinai and during the long-term pilgrimages through the desert. As he learned more and more about how God had worked with his children, and he understood better the sacredness of the law given at Sinai, Ezra felt his heart move. He underwent a new and thorough conversion and resolved to master the annals of the sacred history in order to use this knowledge to benefit and enlighten his people. Ezra sought to prepare his heart for the work that he believed awaited him. He was earnestly seeking God in order to be a wise teacher in Israel, and as he learned to submit his spirit and his will to divine dominion, the principles of true sanctification were incorporated into his life, which in later years exercised a moderating influence not only on the young men who sought his instructions, but also on all of those who were associated with him. Ezra became a spokesman for God, educating in the principles that govern heaven. While he was near the court of the king of Medo-Persia, as when he was in Jerusalem, his main work consisted in teaching. As he communicated the truth he learned to others, his own capacity increased for the work. He was a pious and jealous man. He was before the world a testimony of the power that have the biblical truth to ennoble the daily life. The History of Prophets and Kings, page 446 to 448.